Warning: this video contains flashing lights, bright effects, and fast visual changes. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, welcome to Retro Rewind Gaming. My name is Anthony and I'm with
Luke and Brad.
Today we're going to be talking about retro gaming. We're going to be looking at the consoles that are out in the time and how it's changed over the years. A bit about the graphics and illustrations that they used at the time as well, and how things have changed over the years. First topic on the agenda is the arcades and pretty much how the arcades became to coming into our own home. I was going to say, Brad, what's your first experience when it comes to the arcades?
The arcades were a big thing for me and my brother. I think whenever we used to go anywhere, if there was an arcade machine, my mum and dad would just leave us there. But I used to love playing Street Fighter. It was always one because it was everywhere. Mm-hmm. And Metal Slug was just the best thing ever because there wasn't many multiplayer games. Everything was just single player pretty much. And then on the arcade games, you could then have two players, two different characters, and it was absolute carnage. And yeah, we absolutely loved Metal Slug.
Right, so when I was younger, it was that Yeehaw Kung Fu. That was a nightmare of a game, you know. What about you, Luke? Because it really changed a bit for you.
Well, I mean, I've never heard of that game, to be fair, but I'm probably more of like the most popular ones of arcades. There's in Blackpool, there is somewhere called Arcade World, and I've gone there a fair few times over the years now. I'd probably say my first experience was probably about 2 years ago. So, like I say, only recently. People might have different opinions.
Well, Pac-Man's really a popular game. I remember when they actually were looking at bringing Pac-Man out, they were going to call it Puck-Man. Now we know the reason why they didn't go ahead with that in the end.
Do you want to say that out loud? Why?
Just say I am really quickly.
Yeah, we're not going to say that on camera.
I know that Commodore 64 tried to make their own version, which was called Pac-Computer, so, which you won't have heard of.
No, I've not heard of that, because I don't think I ever heard.
And really was out. It's pretty much a take on Pac-Man and stuff. And yeah, and like I said, when we're looking at this as well, we've got all different gaming consoles that have come out, which is a big change now with the arcades when it's got, you know, VR, which is at the front of home now at the moment, which we're working on. Competition in the market really was big in like the 80s and the 90s, you know. Commodore 64, they gave a big run for the money when it came to being a leading console that could be a home computer as well as a gaming, could make simple software things on there and that lot, and music. But yeah, let's have a look now. Like going back, yeah, we can see that the way that they use visual aids for the boxes and stuff like that. And remember, like Commodore 64 games, you could pick up a really cool looking game and that lot, go home, put it in your data recorder, you know, sit there for about 3-4 minutes waiting for it to bloody load, you know what I mean?
Is that how long it actually took to load?
Some took longer. The worst thing was, Luke, is that when it got halfway through or just right at the end and it crashed, and then you had to start all over again.
I think I'd actually rage quit. Like, really, is that actually what happened?
It really did happen.
I mean, we still have that now. I mean, PS4, I play games all the time on it, and it does always. It kind of like it freezes for a second, and then either it continues or it crashes.
My mate's got one that when you get to a certain point, I think of a game or something happens, it just cuts out.
Yeah.
But I think on the art style of some of these, not only is it really cool, and I think it's of a generation. I think if someone wanted to make, say, an 80s aesthetic for a game, they look straight back to some of these designs, and not only are they really cool, but I think they're the great pieces of art. Yeah. Especially like the Dizzy down the rapids. That's a great piece of art that someone sat there and drawn.
Yeah.
And I think I mean, it was definitely the same with music and CDs. Was if it had an interesting cover, you're more likely to pick it up. Whereas now, I think it's more based on the clips, the trailers, the user-generated content of people playing it before you can, and things like that sells the game. Whereas back then, it was if the art's good, you pick it up.
And now it's more streaming your games really now than going out to game or HMV, you know what I mean? Or electronic boutiques if you want to go that far back, you know. I'm just put the one on the end there, which is the Atari one, because this is now an important thing that actually happened with Atari. Taking a look at this picture
Oh, wow.
here, you can see that there's a lot of ET games dumped. This was down to poor game design. They ended up having to return a lot of these to Atari, who ended up with millions coming back. And I think you raised an important point, didn't you, Brad, at one point about the storage issue?
Yeah, I know with things like Funko Pops, they had so many of them, like hundreds of thousands, they had to just incinerate because the storage cost was a hell of a lot more than what it cost for them to produce them. If they did have a spike in demand and had to make more, it's actually cheaper for them to then make more than it is to store the ones they've already made. And I could imagine, I don't know if it is, but I could imagine it was the same with this, in a time where everything had to be stored, everything had to be sent and posted, big bulky packages. Your storage cost for, say, 200 to 300,000 versions of the ET game would be sky high, and it was probably cheaper for them just to burn them, get rid of them, shove them in a landfill.
Shoved them in a landfill with concrete over them and got ashamed of it, you know. But if,
Shame, isn't it?
if anybody wants a copy of the Atari game, you just went to New Mexico. I'm sure you'll be able to pick one up at your local tip, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, this I think was pretty damaging for Atari. It wasn't just this game, there was quite a few other games that they made that just didn't do right. They weren't the only company. I can remember getting some C64 games and they were absolutely rubbish. Because I go to B&M, oh mum, can I get this game? And that, like, yeah, go on then, it's only £1. You get back, you realise why it's £1. It doesn't bloody do anything, it's just a load of jumbled up crap that, you know.
I feel like £1 would be more expensive, but like when it was, you know, your age, like your day and age.
I think the minimum wage was about £3, like I can remember it being. So, you know.
Minimum wage is like £11 now, isn't it?
I think it's going up. I remember when I did my paper round, I got paid £7.50 for the entire week. And it was every single day, including Sunday. So really it was like £1.10 maybe, something around that, every single day.
You could pick up a Mars bar for like 25p and that lot,
Yeah.
and it was twice the size as the ones you get now.
Freddos were 2p, then went up to 5p, then went up to 10p.
Let's not start with the Freddos. Come on.
skyrocketed.
I think everyone will have an argument with that.
If these were the same prices now, we could be twice the money is today.
Wow. What are you trying to say?
What would be the price today? Because I remember when I was in London living with a bunch of French people, and they were saying that the price of games was like 60 or 70 euros, and me and my brother were like, what? I think the most it was back then was like 40 quid for the top game that came out, and now it has just become 60 or 70 quid for the top game that's coming out. It'd be interesting to know if you went back to when this happened, what would the pound be nowadays compared to what it was back then.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would be relative. I don't think if it was like 30 quid nowadays, I don't think that game would be 30 quid. I think it'd be 70 quid, like all of the brand new games are.
I think the more older that things get, the more pricey they are, because it's like vintage and stuff. I mean,
It's
if
an
you
antique at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen like collector's items, and like it's going for like, you know, 700 quid, and I'm looking at it like, really? But then now that as I've gotten older, I kind of appreciate it more.
Collector's item, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a nightmare doing that.
I mean, even though it probably was like awful, like you are saying, I guarantee that if like, you know, if like the Atari ET comes up somewhere, some people will be like, even though it was awful, I'm still gonna have it in a collector's item.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. We'll move on from New Mexico, and we'll look at the gaming industry and how these companies, some have fallen, some have changed the way that they have to be to survive. And we'll have a look at where gaming actually is now in this day and age. Like, we'll start like with Commodore, because Commodore was really big. Because 64 was one of the fastest selling units, that lot, and they moved on to the Amiga, which is a brilliant machine and that lot. But with PCs and stuff, they were starting to get more tech savvy with the games and stuff, and with competition from other gaming console units, the market was like booming. There was a lot of companies that just couldn't keep up. Like, you sort of know this one, but there's one called Philips CDI that didn't get going. I know Panasonic tried to bring in the CDO, I think it was called. They also started to bring out in the portable markets, like with the Game Boy, and Sega did try with the Game Gear, but it just drained batteries so quickly, you know. But what's your take on these companies?
I think my take on it is, you've got the Disney concept with Mario and Nintendo, same with Sonic and Sega. You've got that ensemble of characters. Some are mischievous, some are the hero, some are the love interest. They've really kind of gone through that whole film-esque ensemble of characters. And it's the same with Disney, and I think that's why Disney will forever succeed and continue to succeed, because kids will always get into Mickey Mouse and always get into those characters. Sega has that with Sonic, Nintendo has that with all the Mario characters and more, but Commodore just didn't have that whatsoever, and I think they went down a tech route and the other two companies went down a creative route.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's like one company making the art and then the other company making the canvas and the paint.
Yeah.
I've
more
never
people
seen
are going
Commodore,
to watch
so.
or look at the painting at a gallery. No one's going to the gallery to look at the canvas and the paint. I think that's what happened to Commodore.
Yeah, and it's a shame as well. You know, if they could have advanced the Amiga, maybe they could have competed like Apple did do with the Mac systems. But even they're two completely different units in themselves that deliver the same kind of thing, but in different ways. You know, we're looking at the market here where some have changed. I'll just pick Sega, for instance. They've gone down more making games and stuff like that. They're not gone, but they're out of making consoles, kind of like Sega Saturn was the biggest lot, really. They did try a few before that with Mega CD and stuff like that, but it was really overpriced, to be quite honest, for the time. I mean, you're looking like about 500 quid, and 500 quid back then was a lot of money. And PlayStation just leaped in and took the market, came in cheaper than the Saturn. I do know that they did try to actually bring the Dreamcast out, but again, that just didn't really take off either, you know. Nothing wrong with the actual units themselves, they were good units, you know. But
I mean, even with the GameCube, I remember when that came out, for a Nintendo console, fantastic. But when you're comparing it to like the Xbox and the PlayStation that was out at the time, it just didn't compare. It kind of made Nintendo look basic, very 8-bit compared to the realism that the other two consoles were.
yeah,
There's obviously things like Total War, which is, I've conquered the world many times on Total War in all different historical situations. But now they've gone away from the history and towards Warhammer, because Warhammer's on an upward trajectory. And then you've got them just solely just making Warhammer games because there's such a massive audience. Not only does it help with Warhammer Company, because you're getting people that are into Total War into Warhammer, same with the other way around, people that are into Warhammer can then virtually play with their armies, and they'll forever have that. I'm sure whatever the next thing might be interesting to see. I don't know if they ever did a Lord of the Rings one. Maybe they did, can't remember. But I'm sure that'll come at some point, and I'm sure a Game of Thrones version of Total War will come at some point. And that's how they've kind of hooked on an audience. And obviously you got the films, the Sonic films, the Mario films. For me, some of my favourite films was the Mario films. I think it was Super Mario Bros. Or Smash Bros. In the 90s with Bob Hoskins.
I can remember that.
One of my favourite films ever as a kid. I probably watched it too early. But in general, they've got those films and those characters, and I mean, there's probably a Sonic the Hedgehog TikTok where someone's just making videos of him doing stuff, most likely. And that's how I think these companies have lasted, is they've realised they're content creators. That's what the gaming is. They're making a piece of content, people are consuming it and playing it. And they never took their hand off of the content creation.
Yeah. And then we look at like the way it is today though, like Nintendo came in with that interactive gaming, which, you know, Sony and Xbox have managed to be able to bring their own versions of that out now. I know that Nintendo are now more on portable gaming with the Switch. Mobile phones, they're becoming a lot more with the gaming. You can turn your mobile phone into a nice little gaming unit, you know, and use it as a phone, use it as a PC as well, to be quite honest. I do quite a bit of editing on my phone itself, you know, when I'm a bit bored. It's like, I do a bit of editing on here now, do you know what I mean? So, you know.
It's incredible devices. And even to think like you've got GarageBand on your phone and things like that, it's incredible to think how far things have come in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
We were talking about when you could first make ringtones on your phone and it was just a beep boop beep boop, and that would be it, and everyone was amazed. People would sit around and be incredibly amazed that you've been able to create a piece of music on your little Nokia. And now you've got just on your smartphones, GarageBand, you can make all instruments, download worldly instruments from China and things like that. It's incredible.
I love the look that Luke just gave me there. It's like, get a life.
No,
that was the life back then.
No, I'm just remembering a thing that my dad told me about how he had to have a lesson on Google. Basically, my dad had a lesson of where he had to just do a 1 hour of like Google, and that was it. Just how to type stuff, how to like do an email and stuff. It's crazy how like, you know, it's. I know. I don't even remember when the first time I actually like, you know, used Google for something. But you know, now I remember. I know I'm Googling stuff every single day at this point.
There was a magazine back in the day of what was it called? How something or what something, or even just what ? And it was a magazine that literally laid out how to use Word, the internet, how to save things, how to make a new document, and it was as simple as that. And I remember my dad used to get that just to teach him how to use computers.
Yeah, because it's like different people for different information, really.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it depends what you need it for. If you need it for programming gaming, you're going to need to really delve into how that works. If you need it just to go on the internet, check eBay or something, then it's different. If you need it to do word processing, you're going to learn something different. So I suppose it's just what you need it for is what you end up learning.
Yeah. We won't go into AI because that'd be a completely different conversation.
That's a whole different kettle of fish.
Oh yeah, but it's an advancement what's happening in the industry. A lot now is being used, but that one, but we could be here for another 30-40 minutes.
We should actually talk about that one at one point.
We'll make a podcast about it.
Next episode, yeah. Coming next.
So, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help. We also have our own channel, Blackpool Gobshites. So if you want to look us up and add us, please do. You know, it means a lot. I'd like to say thank you to my two guests here.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Jonathan.
It's been emotional, so I say.
Nostalgic.
Yeah.
See you guys.